as you guys are watching this video right now, if you are watching, I am down on the Columbia River fishing as I speak right this very second. I know that a few days ago, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, as well as Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, went ahead and closed down the main channel of the Columbia River. Now, before you go ahead and comment, the Columbia River is closed, the Columbia River is closed, make sure you do your due diligence and find out where you can still fish on the Columbia River, because a lot of the Columbia River is still very much fishable. So don't get discouraged. Go to the websites, call if you have to, find those spots where you can still actively fish. If I'm going to give any advice, look for fish hatcheries, and usually those fish hatcheries have their own set of rules when it comes to the shutdown of the main channel of the Columbia River. Now, the main channel of the Columbia River usually shuts down around May 5th. It is May, so it's not super early. We have a lot bigger amounts of fish returning earlier than we did last year. I was fishing down there around this time last year, and we didn't have the numbers that we have this year. So, just because it's closed now doesn't mean that it's going to be closed in the near future. So keep your eye on that, watching the websites. Also, there is still a lot of fishable water. And now the goal behind, in my mind, what they're doing is they're trying to preserve fisheries in the main channel of the Columbia River up higher in the water system. So many people get stuck thinking that, oh my gosh, my fishery is closing down. That means the whole entire Columbia River is closed down. That's not really what's happening. They're closing down from point A to point B right now just so they can preserve and find out the information. And I'm not advocating for fish and wildlife by any means. I'm just saying, don't get discouraged. There's a lot of fishing here to come. It's still spring. It's mid-spring for some people. It's early spring for me up here in North Idaho. But there's a lot of fishing to be done in the Columbia River. And that's what I feel like they're trying to ensure right now, making sure that the fish are actually coming. And so, I mean, in my mind, they're already here. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure it out. Last year's numbers around this time were half of what they are right now. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. Anyways, we are going to talk about and discuss, and I'm going to show you how to set up for some of those fisheries up above some of the ones that are closing down or have been closed down. Now, for the Columbia River, we're in mid-spring right now. Okay, May is mid-spring, June is already looking at summer, but for me up here in North Idaho, like I said, I'm in early spring. So we're going to talk about 3.5 spinners. I'm going to specifically show you how to set up a 3.5 inline spinner, because once you get up into these upper Columbia fisheries, the bait goes away for a while. Okay, guys? Now, I don't mean tuna. We just went over a video prior on how to set up tuna for these areas. But this one's specifically going to be for the baitless type fishing. And that's what a lot of these big Chinook, the June hogs, the summer Chinook, the late spring Chinook, that are actually springers, but they're traveling so far up the water system that you're catching them in the late spring to summer months. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to set up a 3.5 inline spinner, as well as get a little bit of scent in the water. Welcome back to another Walking on Water tutorial. Let's get right into it, guys. All right, guys. First things first, 30-pound fluoro by P-Line. I love fluorocarbon. I don't really care what brand you like to use, but I would recommend a fluorocarbon leader. And for me, I like to run about, let me measure my desk here. Yep, that looks about right. 36 inches. Everybody always, it's funny, it is funny to me, right? I mean, things definitely change and variables definitely need to be changed. So I always tie up a various amount of leaders and leader lengths. But what I have noticed over my years of fishing for spring Chinook or summer Chinook, which are actually spring Chinook, you're just fishing them in the summer because they're so far up the river system, is the fact that they're the same fish that you're fishing in the spring, right? And so I don't really adjust my leader lengths too much when it comes to 3.5 spinner fishing as I would if I was fishing basically a 3.5 prawn rig in the early spring down there on the Columbia River and some of those lower fisheries that you can fish. And so I always start out fishing a little bit longer leader. If something's not working, then I transition into a little bit of a shorter leader. And if I'm running multiple rods, I do one short, one long, just to try to pick apart what the fish are actually looking for, guys. So this is a 36-inch leader, and that's what I'm going to start out running here today. And so let's go ahead and get this thing tied up. Super quick, super easy, so we can move on. Okay, so this is a 2-aught Gamakatsu octopus hook. Everybody has their style of hook. I like a 2-aught hook for summer Chinook, not because they're bigger by any means, just because they've been in the water system for a long time and they're not really looking for that baity-esque bite anymore. I feel like in my mind, once the fish are so high in the water system, a lot of these Chinooks stop feeding. So a lot of the bite that you're going to be getting is a reaction bite. You're not looking for that fish that's searching for something to eat. Now, maybe there are some of those fish instinctually still in the water, but in my mind, you're looking for that reaction bite. So let's get this thing tied up. Super simple, super easy. Again, guys, if you want to learn how to tie up the setup that we are going to tie up right now, you can go over to my channel and find it. And we are tying up a non-slip mooching rig. I love the non-slip mooching rig for my inline. Now, you do not need to use the single style hook. A lot of people up there in the higher, above Hansford, the Wenatchee area, Chelan, below Wells Dam, and so on and so forth, they love to use treble hooks as well, or the bodied spinners. I myself like to tie up interchangeable 3.5 blade spinners myself. They've worked very well for me in the past up there in those regions, and I'm going to continue to do so. And I've always liked to stick with the double single. I just feel like when you're in current, you have that treble, and if a couple hooks aren't dug into that fish and it turns, it's a lot harder to get one single hook out of the corner of its mouth. Now, when that fish turns with a treble hook in its mouth, if it doesn't have multiple hooks in its actual mouth, it's pretty easy to get leverage on those other barbs of those hooks and pop that hook out. Now, that's just my opinion, but anyways, let's tie this thing up. Again, double non-slip mooching rig, Walking on Water is the channel, and we're just going to go ahead and tie this up. I do 8 wraps. And then I come back down here and I look for the other end of the tag and I grab it and I put it right down through the eye, just like that. And I pinch as I'm pulling everything tight, okay? And we just suck that down tight. That's why I love these Beyond scissors right here. You just freaking grab it and pull it tight, just like that. And then, of course, I always trim my tags, guys. If it doesn't scare the fish away, it messes with my brain. So, anyways, we're going to grab our second single hook just like so. We're going to grab it. We're going to feed it through just like that. Now, with the inline spinner, the spacing does kind of matter for me, right? Because you don't have a coon shrimp on here anymore. You don't need a ton of spacing. You just need those 2 hooks to be down relatively close together. And so I like using about a 1/2 inch, right? So if I turn one of my fingers sideways like this, not like this, and I find that gap in there, that's perfect for me. So then I just suck it down tight. I offset my hooks. So if this hook's facing up, I face this one going down. And then I just do another 7 wraps. Just like this, 7. And then I look down here again. I grab the other end. I find the eye and the tag end. And I just slide it right down through as I pinch and pull. Just like that right there, guys. So then I grab my Beyond scissors again. And then I just pull down just like so and suck it all tight. Very convenient. I love these things. Honestly, if I never had another tool on a boat again, these Beyond scissors would be, if I could only have one, that would be it. I've never seen something cut braids so flawlessly, and I'm not sponsored by them at all. I just absolutely love the freaking product. And so, man, I just love them. So, anyways, we have the non-slip mooching rig, guys, with offset hooks just like that. Super simple, super easy. And we have our 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. Now, we also are going to find ourselves some beads that's going to kind of mix and match what I'm looking for in the water. So let's grab some beads really fast and throw them on. All right, guys, so the bead choice that I like to use, I'm using these beads specifically for video purposes. Now, it is super cut and dry when it comes to bead selection. I run a 6mm bead, point blank, no matter what, for salmon. Every time I run a bead, 6mm, 6mm, 6mm. That's just me. I'm sure a bunch of people do it differently. This is a 5mm bead, and all my beads are packed up. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm on the Columbia River right now fishing as we speak. But in this video, all my stuff's packed away. So this is a 5 mil red bead, just like so, and I'm always going to try to use 6 when I'm going for a spinner, an inline spinner like this. So I'm going to grab my beads, and it's just really simple, guys. You're just going to grab the beads and slide them down the line. Let's do that right now. While I'm putting these beads on, guys, if you guys enjoy these videos at all, like the video, share it out to some friends and family, and guys, subscribe to the channel and smash the bell notification. A lot of new content's coming out this year, guys, and this is going to be the actual first year that I fish all year round now that I'm off the kayak and I'm able to do so. So I'm pretty excited about this year. We get to really put all of our eggs in the YouTube fishing basket, and I'm really excited to bring you guys along with me. I started out in the tiny little kayak, and I've moved up to a bigger kayak last year, and then this year I'm in a little 14-foot boat that I wrapped in my YouTube logo, which I'm really excited about. And then the next step for the channel is going to be earning that guide boat and becoming an actual river guide. So I'm just grateful that you guys have been a part of it so far, so thank you so much for that. And if you guys want to go over to Facebook, like the Walking on Water business page, as well as go ahead and join the Walking on Water private fishing Facebook group, Walking on Water Fishing. Interact with me and just post anything you guys want to post about fishing and just be a part of the community. So now that we've got all of our beads on, guys, okay, 6 5mm beads. Again, you can use 5mm or you can use 6mm. I love the 6 mils when it comes to springers. Now, for a more reaction bite, a 5 mil can work as well, but I also love the 6s. So 6mm or 5mm. And guys, if you want to see one of these inline spinners in action, this exact one I'm tying up right now, go over to my channel, Walking on Water, check out the video, Giant Summer Chinook Salmon, Chelan Falls. I'm telling you, biggest fish of my life. A rookie mistake, I took it out of the water. It was a wild fish, just to show the camera. Clean release, watched it swim away, but the Department of Fish and Wildlife did call me because a bunch of people reported me, of course, and that's why you don't do stupid stuff on camera or period, okay? So I did post a little apology at the beginning of that video, but nonetheless, biggest Chinook of my life on one of my own 3.5 spinners that we're tying up right now. So if you want to see the proof in the pudding, go over and check that out. Okay, so this is the meat and potatoes of the setup, okay? We have an inline clevis, little white inline clevis, quick change clevis by Oregon Tackle. Love Oregon Tackle, born and raised in Oregon, and they've put out some very quality products. Now, let's get down to the blade choice, okay? The blade choice is always important, okay? I have a whole bag. This is VIP Outdoors. I have some VIP Outdoors blades in here, but I also have a few blades that I wanted to show you guys, okay? Now, so a really nice guy messaged me on Facebook and hooked me up with a bunch of 3.5 blades. His name is Joe Adams with hookmeuplure.com, and very cool guy, super supportive, and just I was excited to get to try out his blades, but also be able to, you know, shout him out on YouTube as well, just because that's a gorgeous looking 3.5 blade, hexagon stamping on the back of the copper blade itself. And it's just a gorgeous little 3.5, and it will absolutely work for springers and late spring / summer Chinook. So what we're going to do with the Hook Me Up Lure 3.5 blade is we're simply just going to slap it into our clevis just like that. And it is literally as easy as that, guys. We have a Hook Me Up Lure 3.5 down to 6 5mm beads, down to a non-slip mooching rig, 2 aught Gamakatsu octopus hooks with 30-pound, 36-inch leader fluorocarbon, okay? Simple as that. That's an all-in-one. Now, let's talk about what we pair this with and how we actually fish this up in the water system when you're fishing those upper fisheries on the Columbia River. Because we're not afraid of the closures right now. It closed about 5 days early for sure. That sucks, the main body of the Columbia. But all the fisheries that really hold the fish, if you know, really haven't been affected. So let's go over what we're going to pair this with. Now, when you're running a setup without bait like so, I love to put on an Oregon Tackle scent tube bead chain like this one right here, okay? As you can tell, it's been used. I actually utilized this last year springer fishing. It worked very well for me, as well as when I was summer Chinook fishing up in Chelan Falls, this worked for me very well as well, guys. So scent tube, I wouldn't attach it directly to this. I would use a duo snap. I use a duo snap on every single one of my leaders. Makes it quick and easy just to attach to your short bus flasher. Not sponsored by Short Bus Flashers, but I am a firm believer that JT knows exactly what he's doing and knew exactly what he was doing when he came out with Short Bus. Pro Troll was the main big dog in the industry at the time, but these chrome dipped flashers and any metallic dip flasher that they put out absolutely catches fish, you guys. I've never had a fishier setup in my life. So how we do this is I attach this to my main line, and then I make my bumper in between the Oregon scent tube and the flasher itself. That's super simple. Then you simply just attach your 3.5 like this to your flasher. This is spinning through the water like so. And that's exactly how you set up and fish these setups, guys. Again, short bus flasher, down to the 3.5. Just like this, guys. Super simple, super easy setup, but by far one of the most productive setups that you can fish once you start getting into that warm late spring into early summer when those Chinook are a little bit higher up in the Columbia River. I am super excited to bring you guys my next video. I have traveled, again, me and my family are traveling 5.5 hours down. I'm down there right now as you're looking at me. I'm fishing. But we are going down there to fish spring Chinook with Barbie rods. We're bringing the little 3-foot Shakespeare Barbie rods. One's an LOL rod, one's a Ninja Turtles rod, and I'm out there right now with people laughing at me, baby. And hopefully we've already caught a fish on one. That's the goal. The goal, my sons are fishing with me each day. So our goal for the 3-day fishing actual trip is 6 fish. Hopefully one of them is on a Barbie rod so we can bring you guys that fun and exciting video and just to say that I've done it. And so thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Walking on Water. It's my pleasure to share with you how I set up and fish my 3.5 inline spinners for late spring / summer Chinook. Catch you guys on the water. Hope I see you guys tomorrow when I wake up and I go fishing on the Columbia. So if you're there, you're there. If you're not, tight lines of the future, baby. See you next time.